Oh shit, you've already started. What's up, Val?
Ew.
I mean, so you have started the stream, so we technically count as started. We're just waiting for the rest to come in.
Waiting for the star of the show. Wait.
You do be making not the guy's North American, right? Or are they like also European? Because yeah. So I guess at least you will be more familiar with this stuff over here. The rest of us are, but it's almost night here. Or if you're, I don't know how the weather is there for in Western Europe. Over here in Eastern Europe, it's like goddamn midnight all day long.
Yeah, weather has been pretty dreadful here. Just pouring all day long.
Same. And I don't know if you have the problem here, but there's a chance of snow, which is just the last thing anyone wants.
Oh
I
gosh.
do not. I do not want the streets to turn into goddamn white land flower too, or big blue slip highway. You can ask any GP Legend player; they will tell you those tracks are actual horror.
Hello.
Hey there.
So,
Doing well. How are you all?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm doing very
I
well.
guess that's kind of a lie. I'm fighting a pretty gnarly head cold right now, but other than that, yeah, I'm all right.
I hope you feel better soon.
Thanks.
yeah, well, soon, mate. We've kind of been watching GX cutscenes for 5 minutes now, yeah.
Thank you. Cool. I might have answers. Modes, really all I have planned is a career. It's basically just a somewhat linear division-based progression through events, and then your typical Grand Prix and local multiplayer modes, single race. That's all I've. Yeah, all the stuff that you kind of need for a racing game. Yeah, basically, that's pretty much it. Other than F-Zero, I haven't really looked at very many other racing games recently in terms of feature set. So I'd say it's closest to F-Zero in terms of features. pretty much just all of the really badass stuff like rail grinding. I've always loved shift boosts as a maybe it was unintended in the original in F-Zero GX, kind of a physics quirk, but I always thought that kind of thing was really cool where you cheat death and you just get that extra burst of speed. Pretty much anything like that that I think sells that idea of cheating death and going faster is what I wanted to include. Other than this, the responsive controls, and just general nature of the gameplay. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to capture is stuff like rail grinding, dives from from F-Zero X. That stuff has always been really cool. Feels alright. That won't last very long. But yeah. I don't think it counts. It's just that I've been joking about that because, you know, it's fun to say that I am the best at a game, even though it's my own.
Right, so you say you've been inspired by F-Zero X. Is there going to be the infamous slot machines from the F-Zero X multiplayer where you can just randomly just kill someone if the slots line up right?
I've thought about that, and that's another one of those things where, like, I've been trying my best to providing the same sort of feel and experience from the F-Zero games without, like, directly ripping a lot of the really important, I guess, sort of iconography. And I honestly think that that slot machine is very specific to F-Zero. That's one of those things that I don't think I'll rip directly because it's one of those things that makes F-Zero's local multiplayer what it is. And I kind of want to step on those toes. I might find a different way of doing something similar. But yeah, directly ripping the slot machine probably won't happen, but that is one of my favorite things from F-Zero X. It is pretty funny.
Yeah, it's like it's amazing. Like when you're done racing because you fell off the track or something, you can still influence the race in some kind of way and still engage. I think it may be not the exact implementation, but it's cool to have something to keep the players who fell off still busy.
There was a cool train of thought that a couple people in my Discord got me on recently when that topic came up. And just being like a ghostly apparition spawning in if respawns are disabled for like the actual race. You spawn in as like a ghost and you can lay ice trails and stuff. And I thought that that would be pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah,
That sounds absolutely evil.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's something that will be in the game eventually, but it got the mind working, and I was like, that would be really cool to explore and see if I could do something like that at some point. You could lay mines, just mess with the other racers in ways like that. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So essentially, you're planning to make it so if you die, you make everyone else pay for your death, like something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. If the right options were chosen, you know, I'm gonna try and keep the local multiplayer editable in a way that you can choose to have respawns or not. You can do various things to play the way that you want. I honestly think local multiplayer would probably be better for your average person playing the game if respawns were enabled by default. So
yeah, I would agree.
No, so I won't unless I hook into Epic Games custom content like extensibility features that they have built into the Epic Games launcher, which requires being fully a part of the Epic Games ecosystem, and I haven't really committed to that yet. Unless I do that, people won't be using Unreal Editor to actually make custom tracks. I'll have to manually make an in-game editor to, you know, make those tracks, which will be a huge undertaking. But like I've been saying for a while now, I have like the base technology made that would be able to create those tracks whenever the game has been packaged up into an exe and everything. It could be able to read a file, draw tracks along spines properly, have all the features work. So I've got that ready to go, but making an editor that will actually be able to make those files that could be read by the game, it's going to be a pretty big project. Editors like that usually are. Do plan for it, though.
I'll spend all that time playing the tracks that other people have made.
Me too. F-Zero-X, definitely. It's the one I played the most of. It's the one I grew up with for the most part. I only started playing GX probably around whenever I was in late high school, which would have been like 2012, 2013. But F-Zero-X I played throughout basically my entire adolescent life, so definitely my favorite. Yeah, so different machines will be capable of different things in the game. Honestly, they will all feel pretty similar. Like if you've played F-Zero-X, all machines kind of control in a homogeneous fashion. There's like differences that make some stand out from others, but if you can drive one machine in that game, you can kind of drive them all. I kind of want Aero GPX to be very similar because it's easy to balance, and because I feel like if you have machines that all control very similarly, that can allow me to be a lot more creative with the track design without having to balance around, 30 different machines that fall at different rates, that have completely different airborne physics and stuff. So they'll all be fairly similar, but there will definitely be some quirks and some other things that I can implement that will make some machines play very different from others. Like one I've been talking about for a while, I haven't really shown it or anything, but I've got this excellent like combat super heavy chunky machine profile where it's almost impossible to regain your traction, so you're basically just bouncing off the walls like a bowling ball. If you touch anything, you destroy it like immediately.
Oh my gosh.
So like that's probably one of the weird quirky machines that's going to be in the game. It won't be very viable for like time trialing, but I imagine playing it in single race and Grand Prix would be a blast. So I'm going to try and do things like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of the things I liked about GX Stream. It just has so many gimmick machines. You just want to try them all out.
From like a visual design standpoint, I'm really proud of the Silken Speeder, which is like the slider type that I've made, the most recent one. But other than that, not really. I think I enjoy driving the Crimson Strider the most because it's an all-around and you can just basically do everything fairly decent with it. It's not really pigeonholed into a single thing. I probably will like the balanced category the most personally. But yeah, from a visual design standpoint, I'm really proud of the Silken Speeder and definitely the Passion Kite as well. I've liked that one ever since I made it too. I like the name. I love the name of that Passion Kite the most. Yeah, so the way I kind of envision things playing out, and it'll probably be completely different than this because this is typically how I've seen games come and go with like competitive and time trialing communities, and usually the opposite ends up happening that the developers intend. So I still think that's going to happen too. But what I see happening is certain machines being standouts. Like if one course has more flight than another, then obviously something that can drill dive a lot quicker will probably be the quickest option for that particular track. And the same goes for like a drift heavy track. Sliding machines will probably, be the best there. So. Right. Yes, probably, because I'm a solo developer and there's definitely going to be things that slip through the cracks. It depends on what form those take. Like if I send it out, like let's say I do my beta next year, I send it out and people find something that absolutely breaks the game that I can't keep in, I'll probably take it out. But if it's something badass in the, in lieu of like space flying or snaking or other things like that, I might leave it in and leave it up to community figureheads or people to make a decision on whether or not there needs to be different categories for those things. So. Oh, challenges that I've faced. Pretty much everything. Originally, like, this is going back to, like, I want to say around December of 2018, whenever I was first messing around with the project. Getting the machines or the entities to, like, smoothly move along the tracks was definitely very difficult, and it took a lot of experimentation. I eventually stumbled upon some math that utilizes something called the barycentric coordinate, which I call the mighty barycentric coordinate now. I stumbled upon it. It basically fixed all the issues that I was having, because whenever you'd go to like a different surface, it would snap really hard, and there wasn't really a transitional, like, it wasn't smooth. And using that math basically smoothed it out, and that was one of the moments where I noticed, like, okay, I can take this a bit further, play with it a bit more, see if it's more viable. That was a challenge. The menu systems were definitely a challenge, because I'd never done anything like that before, even in all of my years of modding and hobbyist game development. So making that infrastructure was very difficult. Yeah, there's been a lot of things. Being a solo developer is hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. I have seen a lot of people come in and offer their help, but I imagine it's also hard to still, control an entire team who might be working on different things and still have it fit your vision, right?
Yeah, there's that aspect, and the aspect of, like, I've been an artist all of my life, and I've always seen the projects and the teams that pay their artists well and, like, compensate them for their work properly. I've always been very reverent of those types of teams, and I honestly don't have the money or the infrastructure set up right now to be able to pay people what I would want if they contributed to the project. That's one of the main reasons why I've kind of done it solo.
Right, yeah, that's very respectable.
Yeah,
I know I've seen people like offer their help for free as well, but I think there are still some implications with that when you're going to sell a commercial product.
Right. As much as I appreciate those offers, my intent is to sell this. So, like, like, I'm not going to take free work. That's very scummy, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's very fair. So what kind of background do you have in game development? Do you have a lot of experience with Unreal Engine or like other engines and programming?
So I've been working with Unreal Engine basically since the day that it released with Unreal Tournament 99 back in the day. So they released a version of Unreal Editor with that, and I immediately hopped into it even whenever I was like, 7, 8 years
Oh,
old.
wow.
So I've been using Unreal Engine since like as early as a hobbyist could, but I have always experimented with other games and other engines and done modding for those and stuff. Like I was big into the Star Wars Battlefront 2 modding scene back in the day. Shoutouts to Game Toast. That's where I cut my teeth and most of my game dev skills. But yeah, I've always kind of been a hobbyist. I haven't gone to school for it or anything, but I've always had my ear to the ground, and I've been sure to pay attention and really internalize basically all the information that I've seen over the years on how to properly build something out and make a game. So hopefully Aero GPX will be proof that somebody like me can do it without any formal education and a good knowledge base.
Yeah, I mean, so far I would say it's looking great. One of the most anticipated games for me personally.
Very cool.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. Yeah, it looks very well polished, as is.
Thank you.
You mentioned something about a potential beta period next year. Will that be like open beta or closed beta? And what's your idea for that?
So I want there to be another public demo where anybody can play it with their thoughts. I've always been a proponent of open testing periods and trying to get as much feedback as possible, especially since I'm a solo developer. That type of thing is very valuable to me. But I do want to get the game to a point where it's more representative of what it will finally be before I do that. But yeah, I do intend to have a public demo or beta at some point early next year, so people can get their hands on a more contemporary version of the game.
Alright, awesome. I'm very much looking forward to that. Also, I can't help but notice that you're pretty adept at doing this MTS-like technique in all your footage. Do you have experience time attacking in the F-Zero games?
No. Well, I tried it for a long time. I learned most of the speed tech in F-Zero X. I couldn't do it anymore. It was years ago. If I tried to do like a double tap dive like today, I would probably not be able to hit one. But for a while I experimented with it and I got really into it. The reason why I'm so good at it in Aero GPX though is because I made it really freaking easy to do.
Well, that always helps.
Well, at least it feels easy to do at this point. I guess I've been, messing around with it for like a year and a half, 2 years now, so
Yeah, true.
pretty used to how Aero GPX handles things.
Yeah, and also I have to say, drill dives look a lot more intuitive than double tap dives, because those took me quite a while to wrap my head around, and still, it's so hard to do one optimally.
Yeah, the analog stick relativity business in F-Zero X was always difficult for me to wrap my head around, so basically what I made drill dives in Aero GPX is you hold the side attack button and then you tilt the stick to the left or right and it'll angle your ship properly and start drill diving, and you kind of commit to that dive angle and you start building speed. So I made it definitely more intuitive and easier to pull off. It's still pretty difficult, but I think once people get a handle on it, it'll be like second nature.
Yeah, sounds good. I also noticed that a lot of the time you do just crash into the track with your nose facing down. In F-Zero, it's often a thing where you want to level out before landing, otherwise you'll either take some damage or slow down a lot. Am I seeing this correctly, and was this a conscious choice?
Yeah, it was more of streamlining. So there's a lot of, and I know I'll probably be stepping on toes here, F-Zero community heads, but I've always thought that there were a lot of weird things in the F-Zero games that kind of kill your momentum or punish unduly, and one of those definitely was having to tilt your machine back up before the point of impact. I appreciate that nuance, and I enjoy it, But for a game that I wanted to make, I wanted to make it more straightforward, where you didn't have to worry about little things like that, and it was just constant. I've already committed to the drill dive. I've already hit the right angle. Why worry about pulling my nose up at the last moment before hitting the road? I just think it's a little... It's like one step too far. So
No,
I'm
I
a
get
big
you.
fan of subtractive design. I like to add some and then kind of reel it back whenever it feels a bit too overbearing, especially for advanced mechanics like that. I'm like a weirdo who appreciates the nuance, but also in a game that I would make, I don't want that nuance. It's weird.
No, I fully understand what you mean. I've definitely seen it be not quite a hurdle, but something people don't realize when they're starting to speedrun the games. And it takes someone telling them to be like, oh, right, I have to do that. And then they'll just improve a lot. Speaking of that, are you planning to have some kind of tutorial in the game as well? Like either inside of the game that makes you play it or through text?
Mode in the extras menu. I've got an extras menu planned with some features. And I'll definitely have a mode where people will be able to learn the advanced mechanics in a very safe and repeatable space. So they get used to it.
Yeah, awesome. That's a very, very good idea. I also saw a question in chat. Is this game gonna have anything like MT in GX?
No, so that's another one of those features where like I appreciate it in GX for what it is, but I wasn't really interested in having a similar feature in my game that I like. I like holding down the acceleration button at all times. There's a few scenarios where it's useful in Aero GPX to not do that. One I've brought up recently is whenever you're on a cylinder type track, if you let go of the accelerator, you actually get a little boost to grip, so you can stay on the track's surface a bit easier. But that's pretty much one of the only instances in which it's useful to let off the accelerator. So no MT in Aero GPX.
Alright, makes sense. It's also one of those things that's just, not very intuitive, so I think if you want the game to be approachable, then, that's a very reasonable decision.
So, there's a possibility my mic is fixed. So, chat, just let me know. Otherwise, worst case scenario, I can just edit in the questions, like with text later.
I just checked out the stream, and it seems to be good.
Awesome. Alright, I'm gonna look for any last minute questions here.
One thing I'm kind of curious about, are there going to be different venues, different looks for the tracks?
Yeah, so I've got at least a handful of like biomes or themes planned. Turns out that they're going to be on different planets because that makes it really easy to establish an aesthetic. But yeah, I've got at least a handful of themes planned that I'm going to utilize. Big ocean world, I think that's a good place to start, especially because water can definitely be very pretty and look good. Outer space, which, it's a very useful...
in GX.
Yeah, it's a very useful theme to have because you can do anything in outer space, design-wise, and it'll, make sense.
Do you think that, kind of that, that trait that those games have kind of contribute to the essence of a 3D F-Zero game in general? And, what do you think captures that essence?
The essence of
just a 3D F-Zero in general, just like X and GX.
Having different themes that you can race on?
Yeah, I just feel like there's something about being in that environment that's, I don't know, just really, really fun. It's kind of like you're on an actual roller coaster or something.
Yeah, it definitely it makes a game more fun if you're racing through a space that you can recognize and think about.
Right, there's
very
like
important.
an element of like physics, I guess.
Is that too?
So now that venues have been mentioned, that made me think of. So in Mario Kart, there is a lot of interaction between the kart and the track and the racers, and the ambience. But in F-Zero, it's just the track. There is a casino palace, but you don't interact with the casino palace. So you have any ideas of what to do with this?
No, unfortunately, that's one of the things that I'm not afforded as a solo dev, really, is having that sort of... being able to have that kind of depth in the different venues and the different themes. Like, I'd love to be able to have environmental interaction like that in the Mario Kart games. That's always been one of the best parts about that series, especially with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But it will kind of feel like disembodied tracks racing through a space in a way. Because my goal with the design is to be more about the challenges and the gimmicks that you face, like in the sphere of the track, you know. It's you and the track, and then you know the theme and the look kind of serves the sense of speed and just keeping things interesting as you race through the track.
Yeah, it makes sense. I can imagine it would be a lot of work to implement those kind of mechanics for every different type of venue.
There
Yeah.
will be small things, like one of the things that I do have planned is so cylinder type tracks will happen a lot on the water world, and whenever you're, like, you end on a cylinder, basically I'll have these big, you know, machines that are spitting water into the big ocean, and the cylinders that you ride on will be those tubes carrying water. Like, little things like that that are kind of easy to pull off, but whenever it comes to something like, you know, in Dolphin Shoals in Mario Kart 8, whenever you ride along an eel, I'm not gonna have anything like that. I wish, but no.
Yeah, it makes sense. Or maybe just like in a water world where the track is like at the same level as the water, so you can have like a little splash effect. Just to add some more like interaction without necessarily altering the gameplay.
Right, yeah, that's a good example.
Could you maybe go more in depth about the air tunnels that you can fly through and like how that's going to be implemented in the game and like some different ways and stuff?
Yeah, so slipstreams are gonna be fairly important to the design of Aero GPX because I'm wanting to implement a lot more airborne gameplay into the game because I feel like that's an unexplored space in this kind of like hardcore anti-gravity racer. So I felt it made sense to kind of make slipstreams a pillar of the design, and I've got a lot of fun things planned with them. So
Yeah, I can imagine like just some like Kaizo like tunnel or something that you have to like dodge the spikes or something. I don't know.
Right, yeah, I've got, you know, physical things that you'll need to dodge whenever flying through the slipstreams. Of course, there will be like slipstreams of different sizes too. I think pretty much every slipstream I've shown so far has been like approximately the same size, but they can be, you know, expanded or contracted. So
That's awesome.
There can be secret paths where there's very little room to fly, and you're basically having to dip in and out of them.
And you can like
utilize them.
you can kind of like weave in and out of it, right? Like
Yeah, I worked. That's another. If we're gonna go back to like challenges and development, that was another thing that I spent a lot of time on, was making the entering and exiting of slipstreams as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
To be able to do things like that.
Yeah, because I mean, in my opinion, the feeling of the game is the most important part, and it feels like you're really putting in the time to get that right.
Yeah, that's the number one thing for me. Game feel.
Maybe there should be a course that's nothing but a giant slipstream. That'd be kind of fun.
Definitely.
So, when can we look forward to getting our hands on the game?
We're talking like final release date, probably not until late next year at the earliest.
Okay.
With what I've got planned, but like I said earlier in the podcast, I do want to do like a public testing, like beta or demo at some point early next year, just to get better feedback on how the game currently looks and feels to play. And it'll give me a good excuse to really sit down to design some very final feeling tracks, because a lot of the tracks that I've shown and messed around with so far have just been test beds to try different things and to make sure that all of my mechanics work. I haven't done super extensive testing and designing yet, so it'll give me an excuse to really sit down and get a better feel for exactly how Aero GPX is going to play design-wise.
Do you plan to hire a bug tester of any sort, or is it all you?
I don't plan to hire one necessarily.
I'm not sure how
like
all that works.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that I feel like it's the one thing that I'm okay with kind of letting people get their hands on the game and make bug reports and suggestions.
Oh,
That's
right, yeah.
something that pretty much every other company does. I'll try my best to test it thoroughly myself and make sure that it's as bug-free as I can get it with just my testing and experimentation, but inevitably there will be things that I miss.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's just like it's a just crazy feat what you're doing in general. So like, really respect that, and everyone supports you, and we really hope the game does well.
I got a question. So, myself and others, we've been pitching ideas. I know that's something you've been encouraging. Is there a certain point where you're going to have to lock down on the features and modes you're going to implement, or have you already done that, or can we still pitch ideas, because that's always kind of fun to do?
Yeah, you can definitely always pitch ideas. I think even once I've kind of committed to a final release, and the term is like once the game has gone gold, whenever it's fully finished, like even whenever that happens, I kind of will still be looking for cool little features to add, especially if they don't shake the structure up or really force me to change a lot of stuff. Even once the game's fully released, if there's a really good idea or something that somebody suggests or comes up with, I would love to just update the game with like a free update with cool little bits of content like that continually going forward. So I would say there's never really a hard line for suggestions like that.
Okay, cool.
Can you I don't want to take up your whole day, but could you give any little details about the career mode? Like, is there going to be any sort of story, or is it just like beat this mission, fill this requirement, yada yada yada?
It'll pretty much just be the latter. You'll be playing through events and different things like that. I have looked into easier and less labor-intensive ways of injecting a little bit of narrative and story and feel into stuff like that. And one of the ways I've been looking into that sort of thing is having the pilots have like commentary. So like in the description of the various events and maps, have like a conversation between two of the pilots about it, or something simple, easy to do like that. That wouldn't take too much time.
Oh yeah.
Would serve to make the world and the game a bit more narratively more interesting that way. I won't be able to go full blown with like cutscenes and like stuff like that, but just cool little details like that spread about just to.
Yeah, just like a little banter, or like an icon on the side would be really neat. Like as long as the face is like expressive and kind of adds to that comic book vibe that's going on.
Right. But no promises. That might be something.
Yeah.
But expect it just to be kind of like a layout of events to play through, like sequentially.
You probably already answered this before, but do you plan on supporting it after launch?
For a little bit. I don't want to work on Aero GPX forever. I have other things that I'd love to work on, but yeah, I do intend to have a period of time where I'm either porting or adding more to the game, because Aero GPX will be my game development baby. If it's the thing that allows me to do this as a career, I'll put in the time to make sure that it becomes something that's, truly worthy of playing.
Right, yeah, because you definitely have the skills, and it clearly shows. But, yeah, does anyone in chat or in the voice chat have any last-minute questions? Because I'm pretty good.
I have one. So this may be a bit cliche, but is there anything you want to talk about?
Not necessarily. I'm in the grinder of working on like environment art and stuff right now that isn't very easy to talk about, honestly.
Could you maybe hint at the next biome or something?
Yeah. So I haven't shown. I'll talk about like the ocean biome because we've all seen the ocean, right? There's other stuff I've got planned. So the theme of that particular planet that I've got going is it's actually just one gigantic ocean. There's been this massive corporation that's like purified the entire ocean. So the biggest objects you'll be racing through are like these huge water purifiers that are spitting big long spouts of water that you'll be weaving between. So there's that, and it obviously wouldn't help the filtration, but I have these like huge coral reefs planned that I've been kind of look deving right now, and I think I'm really happy with where they're going to be looks wise.
Yeah, that sounds dope.
Yeah, there's going to be some cool stuff there. Talked about outer space. That's a really basic theme that's going to have, tons of different things planned. But one of the other themes that I have planned eventually that we'll be able to reuse some of the assets from the ocean world is like a toxic goop planet. So,
excellent.
My plans for Aero GPX are to kind of roll in ice and lava into a single obstacle on the course.
Okay, there's just like a hazard tile.
Yeah, so it'll basically be something where you can drive over it and lose traction and lose health, but you'll gain a little bit of boost too. So it's kind of all rolled into this one kind of risk-reward thing. It'll be more prolific on the track. And the toxic goop theme, waste planet, it's fairly generic, I know, but that'll be where that stuff primarily happens. I've always thought that would be pretty cool, and I've started actually prototyping those ideas, and it's starting to feel pretty cool. Haven't shown it yet, but yeah.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate you stopping in, man.
Sorry, I got one quick question. So, I realized recently that, the restore functionality hasn't been shown yet in any of the footage or in the demo. Is that something that you're planning on adding?
The what functionality? Sorry.
So if you fall off the track, there'll be something that'll pick you back up and you continue racing instead of ending the race for falling off.
Right, yeah. So I have respawns planned for sure, but I haven't shown it yet because I haven't made it yet.
Yeah, it makes sense. Seems a little complicated or something you can push for later.
That's one of the features that's on the very near to-do list whenever I get back to working on some game mechanics. A lot of my focus has been recently on getting the game to look a bit prettier, a bit more, nicer on the eye, because I've felt that it's been ugly since day one as a solo developer, so I've been really working on making it prettier. But yeah, those types of really important mechanics are very near on the to-do list, and we'll see them soon, for sure.
Alright, just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up some random footage that we can look at. But I mean, we can probably continue the stream if anyone wants to just hang out, chat, do whatever they want.
I'm fine fine with it. I canceled my plans for today because I'm fighting that head cold. So.
Gotcha. Well,
I'm here
that's
for the
good
long
news.
haul.
Do we have any other subjects planned to talk about? Maybe some F-Zero news or happenings?
I didn't really prepare any, but I mean, there's a few things. Like, I know the monthly update from Yazo just came out.
Oh yeah, true. I was on there for the first time in like a year.
Hello? You guys hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, perfect. There's a ton of construction outside my my dorm, so hopefully, yeah. So hopefully it doesn't interrupt the thing I want to say. But I did want to, I guess, announce something that I've been planning for F-Zero GX. In a way, I guess like a sort of teaser more than an announcement, but I have been planning to run a time attack competition slash tournament that allows anybody, whether it's on console or emulator, to submit times for actual prizes, and it will run for about a month, January 10th to January 30th. And I don't know, that's kind of what I can say right now, because nothing's finalized yet. I've actually run into a ton of trouble lately with it, but hopefully I do have a trailer planned that'll announce everything, include all the information that's like needed. That will hopefully be released within 2 weeks or so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
looking
really.
forward to it. It's been a while since I my last one.
It is always fun. Which is what I plan, for it. Kind of because like it's not that there's a lack of like players or anything in the series, because you can go and check the active player list for November 2020. It has quite a bit of people, but just like kind of like a community-wide event that like anyone can participate would be a really good idea. Where it all kind of there's nothing yet. This is kind of the first public announcement about it. I am designing a trailer, in some collaboration with Valiant Edge, to hopefully be published within the next few weeks. And it will have all the information needed, how to sign up, which, by the way, entry will be completely free. How submissions would work, how it's gonna go, and basically like everything that you'll need to know in order to compete. It's gonna be pretty easy. It's gonna be completely free to enter, and hopefully we get a nice turnout.
Yeah, it's exciting. Very much looking forward to it. Like we've had some small competitions here and there, but like never anything big, you know. So I think this will be pretty much a first.
Yeah, most just a dozen players at its peak when I ran these competitions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that someday we can like have speed gaming, assist us with hosting a tournament, and because they've done it for various racing games like Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, Mario Kart, and there are volunteers that, commentate, and yeah, and those tournaments get pretty big. I'm gonna link a playlist of one of their tournaments. And they're a pretty big channel too, so that would certainly bring more
It would bring
exposure.
a lot of attention. I guess kind of on the topic of entrance, I'm hoping to get at least more than 10 because I had planned for the aforementioned prizes that I mentioned that the top 10 placing would like the place in the top 10 would get those prizes. So hopefully I get more than 10 when this happens, but we'll see.
I haven't been here for like almost an hour, I think now. So yeah, I don't really know what happened in the meantime. Well, I was away from my computer for an hour.
We were just talking about the competition that Ted is organizing, and yeah, sometimes.
A little teaser. Yes. Summit Warrior.
Even got guns.
It does look cool. I think so far, from what I've seen, I like everything. Like they all look nice.
You know what? I mean, I kind of asked this before, but do you have any new ideas on how you're gonna balance the combat vehicles? Because I know it brought it up before on your server about like looks like the combat vehicles will just straight up be worse at regular racing.
I'm not going to make them outright worse at regular racing. Their stats won't hit the heights of the other categories, but the hope is that interacting with the other racers and attacking them will gain you boost as well as health if you get a successful kill or do enough damage. So that'll allow you to build boost before everybody else does in the first lap. Also, with the way that I've designed the boost and health systems, once you've gotten, so far into a race, if the front runners like the AI have used their boost and they're still trying to refill more boost, like their health will probably be lower because they will have to make the same decision between choosing between health and boost as well.
Oh, fair.
So
Yeah, that
yeah,
kind of makes sense. I'm just kind of going from like the design of like, you know, basically a more balanced version of GX and such, where some of the some of the vehicles are more suited to combat than others, but they're not. That for none of the vehicles, that's their primary purpose.
right. It's still sort of a band-aid for a problem that's very hard to solve,
Yeah,
but I'm
because
trying
like
to make them more capable.
I feel like the way that I'd do it is basically have uh, have kind of the machines that are at least like tougher and more resilient. Make them maybe not necessarily like worse in time attack, but they should definitely be a lot harder to use effectively.
Right. They'll also get bonuses to different things, like combat machines will have a better spin grind as well. They'll build more speed and take a little bit less damage. So there's going to be small little things that they'll be better for.
All right. Well,
No, I was sharing about it on my YouTube channel and on Twitter and in a couple spots on Reddit. I think I made a couple Reddit posts in like the Unreal Engine subreddit about it to see if I was on the right track visually, but this is whenever most people first saw it, is whenever I put out this beta last year, or pre alpha I called it. Yeah, that's right. It has come a long way. I hate looking at this stuff.
Sort of following up with the question about those combat-related vehicles, will weight play a part into that?
So as it currently stands, weight only plays into my grip calculations and my like machine to machine interactions. So it kind of does in a way, but it's not very significant whenever it comes to the traction stuff. It is most significant whenever you interact with other racers. Like the Sunlit Warrior is like double the weight of something like the Misty Lady, so you can just like absolutely demolish the Misty Lady in a single hit if you land it right.
Okay.
Very similar to F-Zero on that aspect.
Yeah. In GX in particular, the main downside with weight is the more you want machines to be heavier because they gain more speed in the air and benefit from certain techniques. I imagine that's not the case with Aero GPX with the drill dives and whatnot.
Yeah, weight doesn't play into any of the airborne or vertical movement because I'm being very careful to make sure that all machines move in the air very similarly, because having different like falling or drop rates would kind of tighten up the design like I would need to keep in mind the most heavy machines. If I wanted to make a big jump, it has to be, this long for every machine to make it or something like that. That's a really basic example.
Oh yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm keeping all the machines moving through the air at very similar rates, falling wise and speed wise, so I can have a lot more fun and be a lot more creative design wise in the air.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, in real life, if you've got whatever light machine and a pretty heavy machine, they are gonna fall at the same rate roughly. Like the only real difference that would occur is I think a heavy machine would retain momentum for longer, but that I don't. Are you doing momentum like that?
Sort of. I'm fudging it. It's not physically accurate, but yeah, I am keeping track of momentum and making sure that machines keep it moving forward typically.
Yeah, I there's the super pilot game. I kind of wanted to get it, but it looks like your vehicle retains no momentum at all. So that kind of yeah, doesn't really feel like you're going fast if you just lose the speed immediately.
Right. Not quite at like Fat Shark levels in GX, but I am making sure that drag is not too prolific and not killing a lot of the speed you build.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would make me whatever.
So now that momentum has been mentioned, uh, when lifting off, there is something in GX that I don't especially like, and it is that vertical momentum is almost completely lost, or at least that's my feeling about it. It's more obvious if it's compared to a game like Trackmania, where a ramp is a ramp. So I wanted to mention that. So in your game, aerial movement is really important. So the fact of jumping itself with physics is going to have relevance.
Um So you won't be able to manually jump. There will be like jump plates and various things that I've planned that launch machines upward. But also, you mentioned ramps acting like ramps, and that was another thing that I made sure was a little sort of physically accurate in Aero GPX, where let's say you ramp out of a half pipe, you will retain basically all of your momentum going upward. Like if you picture like a machine ramping out of a half pipe and going like straight up, I've made sure to basically keep most of that vertical momentum. So half pipe tracks, which I do have planned and I have very basically implemented, are pretty fun already because you can just ramp in and out of them and it's a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Oh yeah.
Like if you pay attention whenever I ramp out of slipstreams here, I'm doing all the same math whenever I lift up out of a slipstream. So it's very similar to that. That's definitely another kind of like spur of the moment decision I made where it was like, hey, it'd be really badass if I could just like manually detach from the pipes really easy and dive back down. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. Implemented it, and it's really cool. I think.
I mean, I think it would be neat just in general to have some kind of key that's specifically for purposely losing your grip.
Works in Aero GPX. It works a lot like GX, where if you pull both triggers at the same time, you will lose. You'll lose grip.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like the only machines that I think that wouldn't break grip are like um, Mighty Hurricane and Dark Schneider, but those are very rigid.
And Cosmic Dolphin.
I've heard that Cosmic Dolphin is like a very slightly better Silver Rat.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's better in most aspects.
But like
I would
it's
say it's
still awful.
more than just slightly better.
But I'll be honest, so I'd rather drive the Silver Rat than the Wild Goose or the White Cat. Both of those, like, at least the Silver Rat doesn't have awful handling as well.
Yeah, they're both pretty weird to drive, even for an experienced player.
Like, I actually liked the Wild Goose when when I was using a broken controller, but like that was because the controller would either not steer at all or steer super hard. But it's if I can't do that, then it doesn't work at all. So it's really weird. It's like a machine that when you get a better controller, it's worse. Um, that also happened with a custom machine I made.
Probably not. That's the type of thing. In terms of like manually choosing colors, I might have something like that, but that'll kind of mess with the reward system that I have planned where I want to reward, you know, players pulling off various things in the game with color schemes,
Oh, that's
like specific
awesome.
color schemes. So I've got a lot of plans there, and if people want it so much, like I'm totally fine with putting something in like that because I'm always been a big fan of options in games and customizability in general. So if people want that, I'll put it in. It's no big deal. But whenever it comes to like creating a custom machine, probably not. That type of system is very extensive. That hooks into so many different things. behind
Yeah.
the scenes. And
Yeah,
then
for
on
sure.
top of that, it's a ton of asset creation for the various pieces and the way they fit together. It's just a logistical insanity. So probably not.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like in, I'll say like with making a system for custom machines, like if you're to do it the way X or GX did it, they're either all going to look very similar to each other, or they're going to look awkward and ugly because just the way it's set up.
I agree. I've never
Like,
been a big fan of the look of GX's custom machines, but
They are quite interesting. Yeah, like some of them can look cool. Most of them just look like a mess.
yeah, yeah, that's definitely true.
And unfortunately, I don't think it was implemented very well in terms of like the amount of viable parts there are. While I was working on my Unleashed stat rebalance mod, there was so much potential to it, and they
I
didn't
think
do. They weren't really too creative with it, to be honest. Unfortunately. Yeah.
I also kind of feel like 25 parts per category is just too much. You know, when you have 25 boosters, there's no way. You know, you're gonna pick more than like 2 of them.
yeah, like yeah, only 2 of them in GX are viable. There's a couple of others that are all right. Like the triple Z is like it's all right, but it's for most of the time you're better off using the I forget the V or the port. I forget what they're
Thunderbolt
called.
V2
Yeah, that or the
or Titan G4.
G4. Like the machine that I made that was I basically used to beat the game when I was a noob was just Big Tyrant, Garnet Phantom, and Triple Z, and this was back with the broken controller. So normally it's extremely stiff, but if I hold down both triggers, it actually controls pretty well. But then when I got my actual good controller, I couldn't get it to steer at all. So that was kind of stupid. And then for your Unleashed mod, I think I made a machine that's I don't know if it's broken, but it feels like it's broken. The well, you the I forget what it is, the asymmetrical whatever it has the asymmetrical body. The I think the
Chariot one, I think.
yeah the chariot. I think the buffalo or bison the cockpit, and then the hornet for the booster, and like I think it's probably got the highest top speed that a custom in that mod could get, like
Right.
1184, I think. It boosts up to like a little over 2000.
Oh, really? That's yeah. I can't test every aspect of every custom machine
Yeah,
combination, so
and
it's cool to hear that.
I think it can take like twice. I'm gonna guess it can take twice as many mines as Fat Shark at least.
No, it's.
Like,
I don't think it's that much. I think it's only slightly stronger at best.
well, it's what the Buffalo is the strongest cockpit. Did you buff the durability of the Fat Shark?
No, I did not.
Well, what is a Fat Shark's body rating?
If I
Like,
remember, I think
or
it's 0.3 or 0.35.
yeah, well, if it's 0.35, yeah, this machine maybe not twice, but almost because it's like 0.21 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I just feel like They might have, if they
Yes
don't,
and no.
they might have just not cared about balance, or if they did a little bit, they might have just gone with how the machines feel. So, that's not, and they're probably also not using advanced tech, so they don't. Yeah. Um,
I honestly primarily say they didn't care because it's just how the machine stats that are displayed are not true at all.
oh yeah, like they just copied from X, even when they're not true at all. Like Fat Shark has more than twice the durability of like Black Hole actually, and Fire Stingray, and most of the other A-rated machines. Like the only exceptions I think to that are the Wild Goose and the Green Panther. The rest, yeah.
Yeah, and GX had the whole machine settings things, which drastically changes up how a machine behaves. So it's never going to be balanced because they implement. That's how they design the settings. But yeah, they just wanted us to have a really fun time with the game. So
I will say like well the actual machine that I used when I started playing the game was Fire Stingray, and I still really like the machine. It's I've personally found it to be pretty easy to use, especially now that I've got a better controller, and it can do most advanced tech pretty well.
So in terms of balance, I think that GX, the only thing that needed is that, or at least within their games or from the dev side, uh, all the machines have to be able to beat the game on the hardest difficulty. That's all. Time attacking is external in that sense.
I wonder if they knew about all those massive skips with flying.
Oh yeah, I made yeah, you just use like really light machines, right?
Yeah, light machine that can steer really well.
Light machine that's less than well, in your mod can make a light machine that's less than half the weight of the twin Narita.
Yeah, yeah. With that zero weight body parts, there'll be some broken machines if you make it too light. So
Like the acceleration curve is stupid, like on the settings, because well, it kind of plateaus quickly, and then at the very end it spikes, and in actual gameplay, it it constantly like varies in its speed, like like a machine in like the SNES or the GBA games would.
yeah,
No, no, I don't have a top speed acceleration slider thing. It's another one of those things that I feel like is a part of F-Zero's iconography, and also, as mentioned, his is one of those things that introduces a lot of balance considerations and issues.
Yeah, I also like the. I think another issue with the balance or with the acceleration top speed kind of graph is that in almost all of the games that it's in, it affects way more than the just the acceleration and max speed. Like in GX, you know, whether or not you can snake, whether how stiff your steering is, how fast you have to go to lose grip, And most of those things are also, they apply similarly in X, except for instead of snaking, it's sliding. Yeah, it's like, I feel like it would be more balanced if it was just the acceleration and max speed, and the game also didn't have a bunch of broken exploits purposely put into the game to, that you could abuse with acceleration or whatever.
I do too. I hope people find some.
I'll certainly do my best when I get my hands on the beta.
Right. I think it was Tony Tai originally, whenever I first put out the first pre-alpha, he found, or they found an exploit where they would infinitely like build speed by just momentum sliding. And I remember they sent the video over to me and I was like, oh my God, that's cool, but I've got to fix that.
Oh yeah, how do you feel about me having your old version?
I feel fine. I put it out there for a reason originally. It's great to have for historical purposes, the way I see it.
Definitely. Do you still have that video of Tony doing that speed glitch? Because I'm not sure if I've seen that.
It was originally unlisted, and I don't have the link, so I think somebody would need to grab it from them. But it was really funny. I remember seeing it, and it made me crack up.
Let's see.
It's fine. I've got really, really old footage that I never publicly posted of whenever it was basically just a white cube above a gray tube. It was awesome. I was so
I
proud.
think I've watched someone else trying to make a F-Zero type game in Unreal, and actually I watched two separate videos of that, and I think at least one of them they started with the white brick.
Yeah, it's just the
Humble
default
beginnings.
cube and material. Oh, those old collisions. Horrible.
Gotta start somewhere.
I did find what you were talking about, the well, I forget what it's called, but whatever you use to fix the or fix the kind of collision and all. Yeah, I I found
My gosh.
I found a video. I found some kind of article basically describing that. So
I think so. I don't remember if I put a cap on it or not.
looks like it's 5,000.
Bit difficult to control on an actual track, but it definitely looks cool.
You can still get really, really fast in the current build. I think I've got it capped at like on ground like 3,500, and then in the air I don't have it capped because I don't plan on having any spans of space where you can build, infinite speed. But in my big testing area, which is basically just a huge open area, sometimes I like flying around, just building way too much speed. It's pretty fun. Makes me want to put like a stunt park mode in it or something. Right.
This video looks incredible. He's spinning so fast.
Yeah.
Right
my
now it
speed
seems
meter.
big rigs.
And then
Oh,
the
jeez.
camera system's trying to catch up. Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that's incredible. I love this. Like, he was hitting 10k as well, doing those drill dives off of the track. Man. Need bigger track.
So I'm wondering if when the machine breaks down, do you plan on giving the machine a small burst, not just a small, a big burst of speed like in GX, or you're gonna not go too crazy with that?
Right now, it's very similar to F-Zero X in that it stays grounded on the track and it keeps its forward momentum like consistent. So there's no like speed boost or anything. I've been looking into different ways of incentivizing self-destruction finishes in cool ways. I haven't
Or
really
maybe
experimented
with
with it too
a
much yet.
spin wall grind, perhaps.
Yeah, that's the way I've actually been doing a lot of self-destruction finishes lately is you just spin grind until you die and you build enough speed to where it kind of seems like you're launching, but it's the same speed you would have built if you just hadn't gone to the very end of your health bar. But it is very cool. So I can explain it. The way the gravity works is there's like a little invisible line that goes through the center of the cylinder, and anytime you're on the outside of the cylinder, it's just trying to force the machine to fall back towards that invisible line. And if you just go into the interior of the cylinder, you're just always going to be on that invisible line falling towards it, so it just keeps you inside of it. Yep. Pretty
Oh.
much. And it's just he's continually falling towards that invisible line. That won't be possible in the final game.
Incredible. I love these little just peeks into how the game is actually working. Because yeah, that makes perfect sense. I wouldn't know how else to program being on the outside of a cylinder and like having directional gravity, but that makes total sense.
I'm actually rendering out a simple little WebM here of that really, really early white cube footage. So I'll pop it up to like Jiffy Cat or something and post it in the discussion channel here in a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, originally seeing this video, it was really funny. Because like sometimes as a solo developer, you don't really think about trying to break your game. You just kind of mindlessly play it like the way you intend to.
Mhm.
And you don't ever try things that could possibly cause issues like this. So it's always excellent to
Yeah.
get other people's hands on it.
Yeah, that's why QA is so important, because you
Yeah.
know how it's meant to be played, and you will have a way that you want to play it. And sometimes you'll just need someone to say, like, screw all of that, I'm just gonna do completely the opposite thing.
Yep.
Or I'm just gonna not know what to do, so I'll just try random stuff. Like, a part of QA is just like, hey, is this intuitive? And, what happens if I just mess it up?
Definitely. Found a good strategy for that when I was working on my menu systems. I would just, hit tons of buttons randomly on my controller to try and
Mhm.
break my menus. Super
Yeah.
easy there, but it feels like once I get into the game, like testing the gameplay, I just don't have that like disconnect that's necessary to try and find, little glitches like these. It's so
I mean, in
funny.
terms of like trying to break menus, you'll see that, even in the new Generation 4 remakes of the Pokemon games, like they didn't test just spamming the A button to advance some menus. Like you can store a menu and walk around with the menu up and all that crazy stuff just from pressing the A button too fast.
Right.
So even the bigger devs are not immune to that kind of stuff. Yeah. Because that's now leading to like item duplication, Pokemon duplication, like skipping battles. Oh, the latter, no, definitely not. But I think they could, they can fix most of that with just one patch, just from fixing that menu exploit. There's other stuff, of course, they need to fix, but yeah. Yeah. But I think that's also a thing with like how Switch handles its updates. Like it needs to be, approved by Nintendo for every update, so it can actually take a lot longer to, get the update to go through.
So there is a question from the chat. It says, does it have POV?
Not currently. I haven't put it in any sort of like first-person view or cockpit view. If I were to put anything like that in, it would be very similar to how GX does it, where it just is a camera that seems like it's attached to the front of the machine. Because I don't want to create cockpits. That sounds like, a ton of work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
cockpits. Like I would love like an F-Zero type game with cockpits, but yeah, it would be a lot of effort.
A lot of effort for a camera angle that I really don't think very many people would use, because I feel very similarly about that. I just posted that Jiffy Cat in the general channel here of whenever Aero GPX was just a white cube.
Will there be a way to look behind you, like in certain games? I think that was available in X, but not in GX.
Yeah, I'll probably I'll do something like that for sure. I'm not sure which controller bind I'll use for it. I'm sure it'll be something like, clicking the right stick on modern controllers, or I'll find another way of doing it on, controllers with less inputs. But yeah, I'll have something like that for sure.
I mean, you could do it like how kind of like, well, at least the Forza games would do it, is that you would have a kind of at the top of the screen there would be like a little uh, window that basically is just a rear view, so you wouldn't have to press any buttons. You could just see behind you.
Right. But yeah, I think this particular video that I posted was also whenever I was testing out the traction and grip systems too. I was thinking and designing ways of doing that. So this was me testing out to make sure all of like the speed relativity and stuff worked out on a weird surface like a cylinder. So there's a couple things going on in this old video. But
Okay,
yeah,
but the real question is, will we be able to unlock the bar of soap?
maybe. It'd be really funny actually to like model out an actual like bar of soap with like modeled text in it, like soap.
Yes.
That would.
Oh my god.
That's honestly hilarious.
If you're
That's
gonna
the
add a
best.
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's the best like gag machine idea that I've heard yet.
It will have the lowest traction in the entire game.
Yeah.
If you're gonna add a soap, then you're gonna also have to add a red brick that can hardly steer.
Oh, that would be funny. Soap and brick.
Red brick mains rise up.
Blue Reaper win.
Oh my god.
Never.
Why?
So we were talking about you, like the developer never doing anything with its own game that wasn't designed to do. So now that I saw the cylinder intersect with the plane, I thought, what would happen if the bar of soap tried to enter that intersection? Like, do you know cylinder wave on GX?
Yeah.
Do you remember the part where it splits and the paths connect again?
Yeah.
If you go in between those paths, because you can, it's a cylinder, the game doesn't break, but it behaves weirdly. So what will happen here?
That's not something I've tried yet, but the way that I have the gravity for cylinders set up, if I were to just manually drag two cylinder tracks like across one another in Aero GPX's current state, so one kind of the latest one whose gravity you enter cancels out the others. So you would only have gravity to a single one of the cylinders. You would just drive straight through the other track. I could tweak it. Yeah, I could tweak it to where if I wanted to have like a branching cylinder track, like I could definitely implement a feature that would allow me to have gravity that fits a branching cylinder track, but that would be, a little bit of implementation there to make sure it works properly. Yeah, that's still very basic, but it is something I intend to keep because it's a cool little player test of skill and a good little reward, I think, for incentivizing combat in slipstreams. Yeah. So they both, like under the hood, they both basically triple your weight, your current weight, in a weird way. It doesn't do it exactly, and just the way that I've kind of written the math, it triples your weight, and then it kind of makes sure that too crazy of stuff doesn't happen that would just like be totally off the wall. But it triples your weight. It also makes you more resilient on both, but the spin attack prevents all incoming damage from other machines. So it's good for defense. It's very similar to how the other how F-Zero games handle it, I'm pretty sure. Side attacks will actually cause you to dole out more damage in that state. So whenever you collide with another machine, you do more damage. And then I've also got like a chaining system where if you side attack into somebody and their machine collides with a wall or another machine, it gives you like an extra little bonus on top. So no of damage. So let's say you're playing a good combat machine, you side attack into another machine and it doesn't die on the immediate like hit, but they collide with the wall, it'll do, double the damage that it normally would, and they'll probably die from that. So there's little bonuses here or there to incentivize using those attacks.
Yeah, I was gonna say this earlier, but GX's kind of combat is pretty whack because there is some pretty blatant differences in machine durability and whatnot, but I don't think there's a stat for the attack damage, and if I think you can just one-shot Fat Shark using the Twin Narita just with one side attack if you do it well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the amount of damage each machine deals out, it's all the same across all the machines. It's just the difference of their durability.
Yeah. Which, well, maybe I am wrong about Twin Narita being able to one-shot Fat Shark. I'll have to test that, but, well, if you can one-shot Twin Narita with, or one-shot Fat Shark with Twin Narita, but you can't one-shot Black Bull and Story Mode 7, then I think that means something, because Black Bull basically has 180% of its normal hit points, but Fat Shark is more than twice as durable as Black Bull. So that would mean that Black Bull should still take proportionately more damage, but if the damage taken is not the damage from attacks, does not take the basically the body value into consideration, that it's all equal, I think that would actually that would explain a lot. Oh yeah, I've heard of GX Extreme. Is GX Extreme designed to be balanced?
Not at all.
No.
The opposite. In fact,
I mean, because I've noticed, like, from what I noticed in videos, like, well, Fat Shark always gets up to front. Fire Stingray is often in second. That's all I really remember.
A lot of them are designed with gimmicks in mind. Fat Shark's gimmick is that it accelerates insanely when it's not holding the accelerator. So if you're not doing anything, then it'll just accelerate to like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 until it has to turn. It has like massive turn deceleration. So
negative
easily
drag.
Fat Shark is the fastest machine. Extremely difficult to use, but the fastest. And like Fire Stingray's gimmick is that it can like its boost duration is like a full energy bar, or like half an energy bar, I think.
4.25 seconds, I think.
Yeah. So like if it boosts once, it'll get like really far in front, but then it can't boost again until it's an energy refill.
If I mean, I have thought about, like, if I wanted to mod GX, I would kind of want to make it balanced, but I would want to make the machines very different from each other. I think with, like, if I'm going to take inspiration from the original F-Zero, I think Fire Stingray its thing should be a ridiculous speed retention.
Yeah, speed retention machines are fun. Like Magic Seagull and Cosmic Dolphin and GX Stream are like that. They just basically don't decelerate at all if you're not holding the accelerator. They also have very, very bad boosts, but you'll just casually sit around 2,000, like very stable. It's really fun.
I don't.
Got nothing right now.
Maybe you could show Art Hop's world record? So while Sammy is putting that on stream, I have a new question. So Aaron, for when the beta comes out, how much do you expect the game to be broken?
I expect it to be really broken. I honestly don't really expect anything less from any of the F-Zero community, especially if they pick it up and run with it.
Yeah.
But the developer in me wants it to not be broken, you know? I want to know that I made a solid game. If people instantly destroy it, then, well.
Yeah.
Well, it
I
doesn't
can
mean you've failed your job.
Yeah,
Like, if it's still fun to play, then hell yeah, you've made a good game.
true. Very true.
I mean, there's yeah, F-Zero somewhat is known for its very blatant broken exploits, but the original game, there's not really anything that's there's not really anything that you can do that was completely unintended. Like the only things I can think of are crashing against walls intentionally, and the timing where you use the S boost and periodically let go. But that's not very significant. So it's very minor compared to the other games.
Right.
And I do kind of like I do think it would be neat to have an F-Zero kind of game where there isn't absolutely broken strats.
If you're gonna include like an expert staff ghost, then please don't hold back at all. We love the challenge.
I've actually been kind of struggling with that. That's one of the things I've been thinking about recently is how am I going to do the staff ghost? Because I obviously there's a part of me that wants to go all out and do my best possible ghosts because I think it'd be really cool, especially if I manage to make this thing all myself. That the staff ghosts are truly like my best times on my tracks. But
Right.
also there's a part of me that wants to reward players for like beating staff ghosts and I like trying to make the game more accessible and I don't want it to be like impossible to beat. So I might have like a limiter on myself where there's two different types of staff ghost where one of them is my actual like really good staff ghost and the other one is like I had to only do attempts for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And this is what I got.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I was thinking actually. Yeah, having
Yeah.
at least 2 different levels to accommodate for that.
or if you
Right.
do, or maybe like if you do have like advanced. Well, yeah, you do have advanced techniques. Maybe in the normal, you avoid doing those.
Yeah, that'd be cool too. Where I avoid using things like spin grinds too much, and I limit myself to only doing like one drill dive or something to build a little bit of speed. But yeah, I've been thinking about that, and there might be two different tier of staff ghost, and I only do rewards for like the first tier. Like you beat one of these, awesome. Here's your skin you can use across all machines to say like I beat a staff ghost.
Hmm.
The others, there might be a reward for those too, but less less so incentive. That's more
Yeah.
of just like I want to optimize the game and kick Aaron's ass, sort of thing.
Um, like I'm talking about like difficulty. I like I think of. I mean, I saw. I think you said you would only have 4 difficulties, but I would enjoy like just one difficulty, way above the other 4, which like difficulty that's meant to challenge, uh, like base challenge the best players. Like thinking, know, uh, AI that's kind of gets times around the same time as a staff ghost, something like that.
I'm trying to make master that way, honestly, because in my
Like,
in my AI test build, they're already drill diving and hyper sliding around corners. So
I I don't think I beat Master in the first week of playing GX, but I did in the first month. Yeah. Um, although, like, I don't know. I get kind of bored when, like, there's the hardest difficulty is still easy for me. Like I don't want to just play time attack. I want to, race against AIs, but I want to be challenged.
I'll try my best.
Sad to no online multiplayer, but I get it's not easy to do something like that.
Yeah, it definitely isn't, especially with a game like Aero GPX. Very, very difficult.
There might be some modder who can figure it out, but you're one guy. You're not going to know how to do everything.
I don't have any official mod support planned, but I honestly wouldn't mind if people went in and added their own content, like, manually. As far as I know, Unreal Engine 4's pack system, like compression system for data, is fairly solid, but you can still, with enough effort, break it. So I'm anticipating that to happen. And I've even said that since my game uses such a specific like modeling and texturing and setup for the machines especially, I'd be willing to make like a tutorial for people to properly, use the right techniques and set up the models right if they find a way to inject their own, machines and stuff. So we'll see. But yeah, no official modding support, unfortunately.
I bet that
That's fair.
most of the first mods that people would make would just be copying over F-Zero machines. Like I bet that's what's
Likely.
going to happen.
Oh yeah, I had one question as well in terms of like replayability. So there's going to be a time attack mode, right, where it tracks your individual level best times.
Yeah.
But it would also be great if it tracks your best time with individual machines. So just like we have for F-Zero GX, we can track the best time with the Passion Kite, with the Crimson Strider, and kind of just see how much we can push each machine and have the game acknowledge your best per machine rather than just your best overall.
Yeah, so the way that I am choosing to do that is you'll be able to save ghost files for any time trial run that you can do.
Mhm.
So, basically, if you like the time you get with a machine, you can save that ghost file, and it'll always be in the folder for you to access and watch back, because the way I've made the ghost files, and I haven't talked about them very much because I haven't, really, really polished it up and made it a full feature yet, but the idea is the game already saves out the ghost file to a folder in the base game directory. So any ghost files that are in that folder, the game will read them and display them in a list depending on the track. So
it'll also be pretty easy to just share ghosts among ourselves.
Yep, and you'll be able to view them back as replays eventually too once I add that functionality, which I intend to.
That's great.
That'll be great, yes.
So maybe that would be really hard to set up. I've been thinking about it. We'll see. I would like to do it though. Yes, I would really like to do it.
So will the game track your best times for like a Grand Prix run or like an individual cup?
It will in the career mode, because each division is going to be capped off by a Grand Prix challenge to like advance to the next division, which is basically just advancing to the next cup and set of events. It'll keep track of it there. I might add in functionality to keep track of it in just normal Grand Prix play, but
Yeah, that
it
would
doesn't
be
currently.
yeah, fair. I think that would be another thing for like for most of the F-Zero games, we have individual cup runs, which people find a bit more accessible to compete on compared to just the whole run of like an hour of Grand Prix.
Right.
So that's definitely a feature I would like to see.
Sure.
Yeah, when you do that, you also need to keep track of the amount of deaths if respawn will be a thing in GP mode.
Right.
Or no respawn, actually, or the live system that GX uses.
Right.
Yeah, true. Look at him go. My god, that custom machine. I've used that. It has actual zero grip. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, X is, X is a lot easier to mod, but the problem with it is that the AI, you make a track remotely difficult, and they all fall off and die. Like,
Yeah.
like if I doubt you have, but if you've seen my custom tracks that I've made for X, yeah, like at most, like for the harder ones, like one AI or two AIs will survive. No, I've heard, my hack might actually go pretty well with the F-Zero ZX Overdrive mod, which I've heard that actually changes the AI so that it basically pulls itself back to the track if it falls, which they kind of had to do because like the game is like, well, the mod is like 50% faster than vanilla. Yeah, that mod actually is pretty neat. Yeah, it's not a track mod. It's just you get new stats, and you can also customize the stats of the machine, which is both really cool and kind of really dumb. Because
Still haven't played it, but I definitely remember seeing it, and it's just insane. Like you can just go up to like S rank in boost.
just thinking E-body Black Bull.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so the sliding category machines will get better results out of the hyper sliding.
So I know I've asked. Well, you've said about like basically the bowling ball machine. So is that like a slider that's also a top speed machine that's also, or does it have? Do you plan on it having a high top speed? Is it going to be a combat machine? What is it?
I would primarily view it as a combat machine because of the side effect of making it basically just destroy any machine that you touch. I think that would be really funny. I think that's the best place that would fit in, but I'm not. The idea about the categories is to give people a general idea of like what the machine is capable of. It's not like a strict set of rules, you know, like top speed machines will also be able to have like buffed flight stats and vice versa. So
Yeah. Oh, there's something else I was going to ask, but never mind. I forget. Oh, yeah, you're saying you just destroy anybody you touch. Is that to the point where other combat machines don't really stand a chance?
they probably stand a better chance, but how I think about it, it's having me connect the two ideas here is the bar of soap with those physics. That might be pretty funny.
The ultimate combat machine, the bar of soap.
Yeah, because like when I was kind of asking about like if you're like doing hybrid kind of machines, like the main example that I had on the top of my head was F-Zero Climax's Crazy Bear. Like that machine is kind of busted, but it's got one of the best accelerations and one of the best top speeds.
Top speed is pretty mediocre, but it is OP for sure.
What do you mean it's mediocre? It's like the fourth best in the whole game.
In top speed? No.
Which machine?
Oh no, wait. I'm sorry, mistaken. Its boost is very bad, but yeah, top speed is
Yeah, so
up there for
it's
sure.
like
My bad.
140. The only machines that are better are Fire Stingray, Red Bull, and Black Bull. Yeah, then it's also, you could also use it for combat pretty well, but it's actually kind of hard to actually do that because it's, you know, its steering is very tricky and it's kind of sluggish in that way because it just turns so slowly.
So with the ideas of the bar of soap or the bowling ball and all, it to me it kind of sounds like maybe having one joke machine for each category would be a interesting idea.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I proposed a joke machine a while ago. Ugly baby. Yeah, but yeah, that should be a good thing because if I do want to make my own F-Zero clone at all, which that I probably won't for a while. Ugly baby, I have promised to make Ugly baby a machine. Yeah, I've had an on and off interest on it. Like I wanted to do a 2D kind of game for a while, similar to the GBA games. Then I kind of learned about how much spriting is involved. Like a single machine would need like 28 separate sprites just for the rotation. If I wanted to have the same as PC Legend, and I was like, no, all right, I'll just do 3D instead. And then I never got up to working on a 3D game at all. But
My dream was basically just to make a PC port of F-Zero Climax. That would have made me very happy, but yeah, still, even just
That would be
remaking an existing game is like so much work.
yeah, I mean, I guess what I could do is basically model machines and kind of basically, I don't know what you call it, but you know, you take pictures at different angles for all the machines. So that could work, but they might end up looking crude, like in Climax, you know, where it looks like, oh, I don't even know what happened to the climax sprites because it looks like they just took the GP Legend sprites and then put a noise filter on it.
And I know a lot of games actually do use like 3D models, take pictures of them, and then like, adjust them a bit to make them work as pixel art.
I think
Just so you don't have to make 30 plus sprites like from scratch.
I believe Fallout, the original Fallout games did that, and I think StarCraft did that too.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm pretty sure Golden Sun on GBA did that as well. You just have to make some very stylized 3D models and then, go in with some adjustments, but it's a lot better than like 100 sprites for just one character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Wait, what would go a long way for you? Because they don't excite you. Oh, you know what? I kind of have some, I haven't done anything else with it, but, before I learned about how many sprites I would need to make, I do have some concept art, basically, or not art, it's an actual picture of it kind of being rendered in a sense, but, in Godot, I made, basically the way I set it up is, there's this flat plane, but in a 3D space, you can have, and that would be the track. You could have other flat planes above and below, and then there's just a single, really large graphic. That's the ground. So it would be, it would be more 3D than GP Legend or whatever. It would be pretend mode 7.
Just doubles all the stats.
Or maybe just, or maybe just removing the cabs so we can do what Tony found.
Yeah, it would be pretty funny. Right.
I don't know. I've thought of if I did make my own game, I think it would be neat to kind of have the track and basically the menu kind of affect how the vehicles behave. So I would have kind of drag as that would be the one thing that slows vehicles down. I'm trying to model real physics in a sense. So machines in a place with almost no atmosphere would move significantly more quickly than in a thick atmosphere.
Right.
Well, gravity would be another thing, but I'm specifically mentioning atmospheric density. So a track in outer space, let's say it's 10% of the atmospheric density of Earth. In reality, it would be way lower, but you might be moving twice as fast. Yeah. Yeah, it would definitely have to be adjusted because if you're going to have, a track in a venue where you can go way faster, the track would also need to be a lot bigger unless you want it to be, short. It feels short.
Really, it would be things like building like infinite speed or something. I don't think there's anything in the game that would allow that, but just things that allow players to break it in such a way that it, like, I don't know, ruins the facade of it being a video game, because if you can launch at any speed, you can just like launch completely out of the skybox, and it causes like weird rendering issues that can lead to crashes and all kinds of stuff like that. Like, I don't know if you guys know the term Hall of Mirrors, but if you ever encounter a space in a game where there's no geometry that the engine is trying to render, the GPU just like continually renders the same frame in that space, and it can cause a lot of issues. Like, it'd be stuff that could potentially like endanger hardware or, cause issues along those lines. I think if it was just normal glitches and exploits and stuff, I wouldn't really mind, especially if it's things that casual players wouldn't stumble across. Yeah, there will be like airborne boost pads and stuff that I have yet to make a model for or implement properly, and there will be other things too that I have planned that will build speed in the air. But drill dives are like the main mechanic or capability of machines to, like, build that speed.
That's alright with me.
Yes, it's going to be 8 p.m. here.
Thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure. Enjoyed it.
Glad to have you. It was a pleasure.
Looking forward to seeing your game.
Alright, guys, until next time, have a good one.